spills through the cafe door. Mike goes live like it's done before. 9 years deep in these mountain towns, we brew the truth, not just sit around. I came for a visit and stayed for the view, but the soul of this place, it just pulls you through. Mornings in Finlandia, nights in Salento. Life don't move fast, but man, it's full tempo. This ain't a pitch, it's real as it gets. From lost bags to love and bureaucratic regrets. No script here, just the sound of real lives told live every week under Colombian skies. It's coffee time lived from the heart of Quindío, where the screen fades out and the real stories flow from expats who landed and locals who guide. We laugh, we vent, we cry, we ride. It's not about views, it's about the vibe. Just raw conversation, live and alive. Got folks tuning in from every time zone, asking what's it like to make this place your own. It's mango trees, it's rent debates, it's finding peace past the clickbait gates. Some days we talk visas, some days we just breathe and sip dark roast while the valley grieves through mudslides, marches, markets, and mess. We show up with stories, no more, no less. It's coffee time lived, not just a name on a screen. It's 9 years of mornings and everything between. No hype, just heart and a decent brew. A place for the honest, the warm, the true. Not selling dreams, just sharing the ride from right here in Quindío live. And if you've ever felt a little lost or wide awake at dawn, this show was made for you to lean on. We're not tourists here, we belong, we build in mountain towns where the air stands still. So bring your mug, your doubts, your days. We'll light 'em up in soft cafe rays. It's not a podcast, it's a porch light glow. It's home and a headline, a yes and a no. It's coffee time live, come as you are, from my table in Colombia to wherever you are.
Good morning and welcome to Coffee Time Live on my Christmas special. Mostly because I came up with an idea a few days ago of something that I wanted to talk about, and it was going to be for my private channel. And I said, no, let me put together something for Coffee Time since I'm not doing anything today anyway. And take a look. I've actually got me a spectacular Ninja Brewed cappuccino. Damn. Back to my mocha beans for a while. Okay, so today, don't expect it'll be an hour. Mr. Zell, good morning. Merry Christmas to you. I don't know how long today will be. I'm expecting probably 35 minutes or so. Here's my itinerary Coffee Time Live Christmas Special online. The Open, which is now. And then my next thing, update on Coffee Time Exotics, the coffee. And next, my 2 published books released today. And then a news item, one in particular, because I got some messages asking, and it just happened, I think yesterday, the declaration of the economic emergency. So I'll talk a few minutes about that, perhaps. And then the main topic, why Colombia feels like freedom. It's a very timely topic. It probably shouldn't be called Why Colombia Feels Like Freedom, but that's kind of the way I ended it. The topic's a little different than that. Okay. Just taking a look at my notes there. I'm surprised. We got a handful of people in. I kind of wasn't expecting anybody today, but I was going to do this anyway because it'd still be there. And the topic, I think this is one of the more important topics I've ever done. The main topic today. Okay, first thing, I'm going to talk about this coffee a little bit. The coffee is because of questions I get. The news item, it'll just be a quick run over questions I get. And then about my books, it's just because I'm really excited because I'll talk about it when the time comes. So the Coffee Time Exotic, what's going on with that? You see the coffees behind me. Well, I keep restocking them, but somebody noticed that they're actually kind of going down. Owen, Merry Christmas. Sound video good. Awesome. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Yeah, it is going down. The thing is, I don't know what I'm going to do. I may just be ending it. That means that this is the last of the inventory. I don't have them stacked over here. You don't see, but on the other side of the camera there, they're all now on these 3 shelves. Well, you see 2, but there's 3 shelves. And I haven't restocked them. I held off. Actually, I skipped the last harvest because I just don't know what I'm doing because of my health. I don't know. I mean, it was a real problem when I had the heart attack and then all the other stuff. It went a number of months. I couldn't do anything. And that's not good. You don't want to have coffee sitting around. You don't want to be ignoring people that are interested. And that's what took place. And my health is not nailed down. I don't know. Essentially, they told me I just got a handful of months left. That's what they told me. But in reality, I seem to be getting better. I have my moments, but I seem to be getting better. But next month, January, I've got scheduled from way back. I've got a series of more tests to go through and then a meeting with a doctor to see where we're going with this. We didn't have that meeting prior. And so everything's kind of up in the air as far as what I know. So I'm kind of treading water on the thing. I don't really want to get a whole bunch of coffee if I can't continue. So I don't know. I'm hung up. So what I'm going to do, let me see if I put up on the screen. In the meantime, either way, I need to do something with this. So I'll put it up here. I'll mention it in the normal coffee time. What I have left is bourbon rosado, 60,000 pesos for a whole bean bag within Colombia. Now, if you want outside of Colombia, it's a whole different thing. You'll find it on the website. But within Colombia, it's about 14,000 pesos to ship it pretty much anywhere in Colombia. If you're interested, just email me. The email's up on the screen, or contact me any way that you know to contact me. And so I have bourbon rosado left, and I have Sena Cafe #1 left. And ultimately, it's PayPal, Nequi, or Bank Colombia. You can do the scan code or however you want to do it. So, because I do need to, either way, this it all must go, inventory must go, or whatever they say on those late night advertisements. So I got a bunch of coffee. It's got to go. Unless, of course, I drink it before. All right. Yeah, I got the last of the mocha in my personal stock at this point. Because mocha, it's extremely rare, and it's even more rare in Colombia. It's really tough to locate. It's the rarest bean I know of, and so if I gonna stop doing this or whatever, I can't go to the store and buy it, and I really enjoy it. I go back and forth between bourbon rosado and mocha, and those are killer. And so I said, well, I better put these aside. The bourbon rosado I can get. All right. My 2 published books. All right. I've been writing books forever. I wrote one. It was called The Collision Course, and it was about insurance companies that do unscrupulous things all the way up to threatening murder and things like that. So I had a book. It was all documented, and I never published it because I'm not good at the final organization and that kind of thing. So it just kind of sat on the back burner for years. I think I wrote that maybe 20 years ago. I've been working on my life story for more than 8 years. I don't even know how long. I know more than 8 years. And it's practically done. There's a few things I want to throw in, but it's for the most part done. But it's a disorganized mess. It's chaos. I don't know. Everything's out of order. I don't know how to do it. I get overwhelmed with that part of it. The hard parts are done. I wrote, and I'm not a bad writer. So I've also been working after the heart attack on an idea that I've had going back a year before. And after the heart attack, where I couldn't leave the house, and it's like, but I could sit in front of a computer, I started sketching out a book. And it became 2 books because there's one that takes it on from one angle, and then the second book is just a fictional story going from another angle. And I don't want to, it's kind of like surprise, but quickly it's sort of like, is it possible that 20,000 years back to 150,000 years, there were advanced civilizations that disappeared over time because enough time goes by, there's no trace of them. There's zero trace. And so from that point of view, I talked about what information there might be and where it might be. And it's nonfiction because I did a lot of research on it. And that's where AI came in. AI is awesome at organizing for me, which is why I finally got these books done, because it was able to organize for me. But also there was a ton of research that went into the first book, ton of research. And it would have taken me forever. And it only took AI, I don't know, maybe 5 months, because it doesn't know what you want overall, really. It doesn't really quite kind of keep that concept and hang on to it for any period of time. So you have to do these particular searches. So I, send it off to search different things. It comes back and you got to digest it and then, put it together. But AI can do that rather quickly. The time lag is really me sorting out how that's going to go. So because of AI, from April until earlier this month, I was able to actually write that book. It's somewhere just shy of a couple hundred pages. It's extremely well researched. I think it's very good, but I was able to do it. And so I've written a number of books in my life, 4 books in my life, but these are the first 2 I actually did something with, and so it went on sale today, yesterday, but today completely. It's available digit. Well, let me. All right, here's the first one, The Last Storage. You can do it digital like Kindle, or you can order paperback, or there's hardcover. Now, the hardcover you cannot get in Columbia. I've ordered up a couple paperbacks for here. I had no problem. I wanted to get a hardcover, of course, and I can't get it here. I can ship it to somebody in the U.S. I'll probably do that, but so that's the way that works. It's The Last Storage. There's basically a little quick synopsis there, and then the other one, which is kind of a short story. It's only about 80 pages, but it works. They're kind of like a set because they certainly coincide. But this is all fiction, where the other one, it's like information and fiction. Well, you'll see if you ever look at it. This one's called The World Under Our Feet, Separated by Pressure, and that's basically today looking back. The other one's back looking forward. This is today looking back, from a different angle. Dan, good morning. How are you doing? All right, enough of that. Probably too much like a sales pitch, but it's really because I'm really excited about it, because I've sat on books for so years, and I finally was able to take an idea and get it done and actually get it published within 2 years. So I'm very excited about that. And so that's motivated me, my little life story book. I'm going to see if I can finish that up by January, because it's just an unorganized mess. And the thing is, AIs can't, that's a couple hundred pages. AI can't take those couple hundred pages and then work on it. It can only work on maybe a few chapters at a time. And the problem is, it's difficult for AI to sort those few chapters if it can't compare to what comes maybe in the middle of the book or towards the end of the book. And so there's a back and forth thing, like a little ballet that takes place, that takes a while. It's very frustrating, gives me headaches. All right, enough of that. Did the books. The news thing, basically this economic emergency declaration, was Petro that does it. He has the ability to call an economic emergency. It gives him certain powers he wouldn't have otherwise. It's valid for 30 days. He can extend it another 30 days and then another for a maximum of 90 days. And he can't go beyond that. It's already being challenged in court. It's always automatically challenged in court. A few times in history it's been done. It's always automatically challenged in court. But the challenge coming from outside actually requests that there's a pause on it until it's evaluated, plus there's an opposition counter argument to it. So it's, in other words, the highest level of challenge. It's taking place right now. The concern is he hasn't been able to do the things that he's wanted to do, and so he's got less than a year in office anyway. I haven't actually read this yet, but I think it's kind of self-evident that he's taken a stab at calling the economic emergency, because then he can reallocate funds in different places. And so he can take money that legislatively was approved for one thing, and he can take it and put it to something that he wants. So there's a lot of people that are very upset about this in government. I mean, this is a gutsy move, but what's he got to lose? By the way, I did the part 3, part 1, part 2, part 3, all about Petro, the election, the corruption, all the kind of stuff that can't really do in public. It's all in the premium. I did them all yesterday. time's a blur. Right after I sent my books to be published and I was waiting for the approval, I did all 3 in a row, but I broke them up part-time because they're like 15 to 20 minutes each. But it represents weeks and weeks of research into Petro, the government, the investigations. I'm very proud of it. Very proud of it. It's good work. Good work. I don't know if you guys will ever see it. If I can at some point, I'll see if I can break it out of premium and put it on the channel to look at. But here's the thing, I'm worried about that because I could get in trouble because everything in it, it's 100% true. In a couple places where I give my opinion, which was rare actually, but I made it clear it was my opinion. But I don't know, it's a little, I'm worried about putting it public. What I would like to do is maybe before New Year's, like a holiday special, be able to put it out so you could read it. But then I'm exposed. So I don't know. I'd probably be stupid to do that. The title, part 1, Money Trail Inside Petro's 2022 Campaign. Part 2, why the investigation into Petro started 2 years late. They knew about it long before. Why didn't they do anything? And that's what took the most research. And part 3, after Petro, what will Colombia become in 2026 and beyond? I mean, he's headed out this coming year. So what's going to happen? What effect did he have? What's the state of things? And so at every part, I did a section towards the end about how it may or may not relate to us. So anyway, very proud of that. I've been very productive lately. You know, a couple books. I sent my book, the first, not the second, but I sent the first book out for reviews. And I got 3 reviews back. And made me want to pop the champagne cork and run around bragging about myself. They were awesome reviews, awesome reviews. They all mentioned that it's a unique idea. And I did a search. I didn't do a search. I had Claude, Gemini, Grok, and ChatGPT. I had them all go search to find a book with that idea. Don't exist. It's the first time ever it's been put down. I'm not saying it's the first time anybody's had the idea, but it's first time ever put into a book. And all the reviews noted that. How they know, I don't know. But okay, enough bragging. I think we did enough. On the emergency, I don't know how I got off that because I had to brag. All right, so the emergency, that's what's taking place. I looked to see if there's any real foundation. I don't see where there's any foundation. The economy is actually operating okay, and it's not any different than it was 6 months ago as far as a basic operation. So I don't think there's any foundation. I think this will end up getting canceled on him. Hopefully, the courts agree and put a pause on it because we don't want to see him cause any damage by taking money intended for something else and putting in one of his pet social programs. So that's where we stand, how it'll affect us. Little to not at all. If anything, if any of this goes through, then probably the biggest single effect on us will be the EVA, the sales tax will increase, and us along with Colombians will have to pay more. Because that's one of the things he was wanting. He wants more money to work with because he wants more money for programs. And it's easy when they say, well, we're budgeted, there's no money for that program. But if he can raise some taxes, it takes away one of those arguments. And, and somebody needs to stand up and say, well, it's just a stupid idea. We don't need to tax people for something that we're doing fine without. So anyway, there's that. Any questions on that thing? I know there's a lot of confusion on it because it came out of nowhere. Damn it, coffee's good. I have a confession to make. This is a smaller cup than what I usually use. And with this, I can actually allot myself 2 cups. So I do the one that I usually do early, and then I made myself one for coffee time. But you can see this is a glass within a glass. So it's not, it would be like a small little teacup size. All right. Now, let's get to the main topic, if I can find it. Oh, wait. I took it's short, a little video off my balcony this morning. It was the weirdest pattern. Well, let me take a look. How awesome is that? It was pretty striking. Oh, yeah. I'm going to put this up on the screen. I'll take it down in a minute. The book code, those are for the 2 books. That's the Amazon address /DP, and then it has the book code for each book. If you're interested in it, you want it, let me know. I'll send it to you. Of course, I'm bragging again. All right, off the bragging. Get off the bragging. Sorry about that. I mean, you'd be excited too, right? I mean, I'm not crazy, am I? Well, maybe I am. I don't know. Anyway. So let's get to my real topic. I'm going to start this without anger. It's not a rant, it's an observation, and honestly, it's a little sad. I grew up in a time when school taught how to think. Not what to think, but reasoning mattered. Logic mattered. You were expected to explain yourself, not just feel strongly about something. I imagine a lot of you are the same way. We had classes, social studies classes, that spent a long time on recognizing propaganda, for example, giving examples, creating your own. They did a lot of World War II examples. They did a lot of Japanese, US, things like that. We were taught logic. I mean, I saw the Venn diagram probably when I was in 8th grade. You were taught how to think, how to reason. A lot of ancient Greece information. And like I say, you probably had the same experience, but I mean, it served me my entire life. It definitely formed my brain to operate in a certain way. But today, having a real conversation in the US feels almost impossible. Now, I haven't been there in 11 years, but I meet with people a lot. And it's like most of the people that I meet here, we're kind of on the same wavelength, but a few people come that are like half of the people that were in Ecuador that we're at polar opposites on things. So I want to talk about this creation of sides. This is not political. It's not religious. It's not political. It's about thinking. Well, before I talk more about education, I want to talk about the division, because at some point, people were sorted into sides, not naturally, but deliberately. And once you create sides, rules change. You no longer need to persuade. You no longer need facts. You don't need reasoning. You just need loyalty. When people identify with a side, thinking becomes optional. The alignment becomes mandatory. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Divided populations are predictable. Predictable people are easy to manage. It's not about left or right. It's about power. We all know that a pox on Democrats and a pox on Republicans. One may lean in your thinking and maybe in a better way to you, and one leaves away from you. They're all scumbags. Anyone who benefits from control benefits from division. Reasoning resists division. That's why it had to go. When reasoning was taught, as I was saying, when I was in school, reasoning wasn't assumed. You learned how to follow cause and effect, how to build an argument, how to challenge ideas without attacking the other person. Remember debate classes? How to change your mind when presented with better information. Can you imagine that today? But that's what used to happen. You would sit and exchange ideas and you could be swayed. Disagreement wasn't hostility, it was normal. You didn't have to agree, but you did have to explain. And that skill alone made conversation possible. So what changed? I mean, logic didn't disappear overnight, but it was replaced. First, it was replaced by memorization. Then memorization was replaced by emotional affirmation. Eventually, how you felt became more important than whether something was true. And we know media changed too. Facts used to come first. Interpretation came second. It was relegated to not news shows that would be in those opinion shows. Now repetition comes first. You've seen those clips where they'll take some statement and they'll go from show after show after show, and they'll end up putting all these, 25 boxes up on the screen at once, all repeating the exact same phrase. It's by design. And we inherently know that, but we can't really put our finger on it, right? If something is repeated enough, it becomes acceptable thinking, no matter how crazy it is. Questioning is treated as questioning that is treated as an aggression. Think COVID masks. One of the biggest farce ever perpetrated. They were worthless. We knew they were worthless, but you could get banned. You could get thrown off YouTube. You'd have people ripping on you. It was worse than any crime you could commit. What happened after some smoke cleared and COVID was down the road and opinions the truth came out? The health organizations that touted it so much backed away from it and said, yeah, they really weren't very effective. Well, it wasn't that they weren't very effective. They weren't effective at all. It was stupid. It was like putting a saddle on a horse. I don't know, it's probably a bad. So this is why conversation is broken. It's why conversations don't work anymore. Most people today operate on borrowed opinions, emotional reactions, identity-based thinking. Conversation has shifted from exploration to testing. They're not asking, what do you think? They're asking, are you on my side? If you don't repeat the approved position, you're seen as a problem. They don't want discussion, they want confirmation. This environment is exhausting. I'm not even in the US, and it's exhausting for me. I can't imagine if you're sitting in the US going through this. And do you recognize how it's changed over the course of 10 years or over the course of your life? Everything is politicized. Every silence is suspicious. Every topic requires a declaration. You're either pro-Trump or you hate Trump. It's one or the other. You can't, what the hell does he have to do with any of this stuff? Reasoning takes energy, repetition doesn't. So people default to repetition. They're tired, they give up. Oh, yeah, okay. You pick a side, you just repeat whatever that is. It's mindless. Those who still reason quietly withdraw. It's not because they're weak, they're just exhausted. And this is why Colombia feels like freedom. This is where Colombia comes in. Living here, something changes immediately. The language barrier acts as a natural filter. You can't get into these conversations with local unless you're fluent. You're not required to perform opinions. You're not constantly dragged into some ideological theater. People here focus on daily life, family, work, and routine. The locals don't get into this anyway. So even if the language was there, it does protect you at first because you're not used to going back in time the way it was in the US before all this craziness. So when I say daily life, family, work, and routine, that's what people are living here. They're living their life. You're allowed to just exist. And to me, that's freedom. People talk about Colombia being cheap. That's not the real benefit. I mean, it's a benefit, but the real benefit is mental relief. Lower noise, lower hostility, lower demand for alignment. You choose when to engage. You choose with whom. You don't have to explain yourself. That was one of the issues with Ecuador. It was difficult to put my finger on this particular point of view until recently when I forced myself to think about this topic. I think all the time, but about this particular topic. And I think back to Ecuador. One of the reasons I love Colombia as compared to Ecuador is half of the people you ran into there were victims of what I just talked about. And here, you never see it. I mean, you get people, visitors that'll come and, maybe it's just a carryover effect. I think once they learn that it doesn't have to be that way, they change. So here, you pick who, you don't have to explain yourself. I mean, it's awesome. Leaving the United States isn't giving up. Sometimes it's just choosing clarity. Sometimes it's refusing to be divided. I mean, I didn't leave because I hated America. I love America. I think it's the best place on the planet. True or not, that's how I see it. But I left because I remembered what thinking felt like, and I wanted that back. Okay, that may have been a little preachy for a coffee time special on Christmas, but I wanted to get it off my chest. It's been on my mind for a long time. I've been captured in my apartment a lot this year, and including recently. And I don't like to just sit and watch TV all the time. I try to keep that for after 9 o'clock at night. And so I have a lot of time to think. Even if I go out and I'm walking, I have a lot of time to think. And the books and things like this, they come up all the time. And once I begin on them, I end up kind of digging and dissecting and challenging myself about what do I really think about something. And this one felt like I really hit on one of the major benefits I feel by living here. And so let me throw that in Coffee Time Live. I don't know how it's going to go over. Becky, love your view. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. I had a video call with Becky. She's in process of moving here, and she's been here for a little while. I don't think Turtle hasn't said anything, so he's probably not on. But she first went to Parade and decided she didn't like it. It's like, well, I can, but she didn't go to the places that she probably would like. I will say that. Owen, COVID was the largest organized propaganda campaign in our lifetime. Yeah, it really feels like it was pre planned, doesn't it? Because everything was ready. Now, I don't know the COVID thing. I mean, you can picture different things. Okay, here's this package because you're always going to have some kind of health emergency. And so, how about the next time we have a health emergency, we install this package tailored for whatever it is for control to get people accustomed to and practice control. It worked a lot in places like Australia. There was a big bad. At first, it worked in the U.S. I'm back here, right? And I'm seeing it from afar. And at first, everybody bought into it. But then you started to see more and more people saying, hey, wait a minute, something's not right here. And then the minute they started questioning it, there was this unreasonable attack on them. Wait, all they did was ask a question. What the hell? And people start getting platform. That's when it started. They went too far. That's when you could begin to see this was a massive manipulation. And this wasn't about Trump. It wasn't about Democrat or Republican. This was about power and control. And so it makes you wonder who had those meetings to put together that package? Okay, is that a conspiracy theory? I don't know, but it's funny how conspiracy theories these last handful of years seem to be synonymous with truth. So I don't know. Dan, I have no idea what my wife thinks of Trump because it's never comes up. Yeah, there's no reason it should. I tease Turtle once in a while because I'll bring a topic up because I know he gets worked up a little, and then I back off. But the last couple of times, he's kind of he starts going down that road, then he kind of backs off because I'm not gonna ruin a relationship over it. It's probably kind of a sick humor that I carry myself, and for all I know, he's doing the same thing. We have our actual opinions, but they're not as important as us having our morning messages and commiserating on various things. I mean, and I think that's how most people are. I mean, you can have those opinions, but it's really kind of, and I'm not saying it's all the Trump haters, it's just people in general. Some people really dig their teeth into whatever has been put on the plate for them. I mean, it could be BLM or, pick the topic of the day. Is it ICE? Oh my God, ICE, they're ruining the country. They're tearing up the Constitution. No, they're just trying to follow the law. And it's like, come on. It's not about that. It's not about that, so it's, I don't know. There are good things by being at the end of your life. It's like if the future really goes haywire, if it really goes off the tracks, you're not going to have to see it. It's like, Owen, global organizations like WHO and NIH, I definitely think that they obviously were a tool of that. I don't think it came from them, but I think they're definitely a tool of that. And it seems like anything that happens internationally is somehow grounded in whatever that is, whatever is out there. And you hear people are onto it now, but you hear all kinds of stories. Good and evil. I believe in good and evil. I had to fight with a demon when I was in my 30s. They exist. To me, in my mind, they exist. So, all right, I can see that, but is it really a cabal of evil internationally that's kind of putting together and trying to take over the world and pave the way for Satan or whatever it is they think? I don't know. Is it? I don't know. I don't know. So I suppose it could be. Is it just a bunch of rich old people that want to control the world and mold it in their way and have us all be slaves? Come in with AI and the robots so they don't even need us anymore and they can live however it is that they want to live, and everything that exists in the world that's going to exist, everything that is spectacular and amazing will all be at their personal fingertips. I mean, could be. I don't know. I don't know what it is. Is it just the old movement going back to the 1800s of the desire of a worldwide socialism? And so you just got these true believers in that we know that there's a world movement, a global movement of socialism slash communism. They're one and the same these days. We know that exists because you see it from country to country. You'll see certain things here that happen in the US. So if it wasn't a global thing, you wouldn't see it in Ecuador and Colombia and Japan. You wouldn't see that. So it exists. Therefore, somehow, some way, there's this global initiative to control, to knock down borders, to eliminate countries, to eliminate power centers, and in the chaos, gather it all up for themselves. But who and where, I don't know. It's, what do they say? Above my pay grade. But at least a massive amount of people in the world now know it exists. I was talking to a cab driver not so long ago, and he was talking about this very thing. Who's controlling? Colombia doesn't control. It's like, what did he say? He said, got a paraphrase. Basically, they control everything out of Belgium. Okay. This is a Colombian taxi driver. So the world has awakened. COVID seemed to have the opposite effect of what might have been intended. Okay, I'm scaring you guys off. There's no more comments there. If you got anything, this is my Merry Christmas. This is my Merry Christmas to you. I'm spreading my joy. I got books. I'm a published author. I got good reviews. Woohoo! You thought I couldn't put two words together. Well, I can't, but I can write a couple words together. All right. We got anything else? Anything you want to talk about? Or should I wrap it up for the day and let you go clean up your present wrappings? And I had nothing. I got a tree I've been putting up every year. I didn't even bother putting it up this year. Shriek was going to come over, and I forbid her. No, stay out. I got a extra bedroom. Stay out of there. Don't pull the boxes out. I don't know. Just wasn't in the mood. What's the point? Didn't feel like it. And it's not because I'm depressed, because I'm far from depressed. I'm happy as hell. I wouldn't have the energy to do all the things I've been doing lately, which is why I think everything the doctors told me, maybe I keep thinking back to cancer. The old, you got 6 months to live, and then you find out, 11, 12 years later, you're doing fine. No, there's no cancer. Well, maybe I just got months to live. Maybe it's going to turn in the same thing. Maybe I'll live to the predicted age of 84. Yeah, there's a Turtle sent me this thing about predicted age of when you're going to live. And so, okay, so his was 86. So I do mine. He's 2 years, 3 years, 4 years. He's 4 years older. I get 84. He's got 86. What the hell? Yeah, I call somebody's cheating somewhere. I was honest, Turtle. I was honest with those questions. All right. No comments, so you're going to wrap it up today. Let me look at the other chat. Oh, sorry. There are people from other platforms that In case of emergency, good morning. How you doing? I don't know who in case of emergency is, but it's doesn't want to scroll anymore. Okay. Yeah, I wasn't even looking at other platforms. Today I ran it on Kick, on X, on my personal YouTube channel, on Locals. It was supposed to go to Facebook. For some reason it came up with an error and it wouldn't go. And then of course here. Good morning, Olga. How you doing? I have a question about purchases in Colombia. What's the return policy? Well, that's gonna depend on where you're. That's actually a pretty good question, because in the U.S. everybody returns everything. If you're in a major store, like if you're in Olympica or Exito or something like that, and I'm not talking food, and you get a shirt and maybe the buttons are wrong or there's a mismatched button or something, whatever reason, you got an appliance, they will have a return policy. And their customer service is not bad. As a matter of fact, from what I hear, now when I left the US, customer service was second to none. But I've been hearing for the last handful of years that customer service has gone in the toilet in the US, and all you get is just rude people. I don't know. The customer service here over the last handful of years, I would say in general, has improved by leaps and bounds. Now, if you buy something maybe at a privately owned place, they'll have their own policy. Probably not great, because here's the Colombian social rule. What's always been: when you buy something, that's it. If you got questions, you got to inspect it. Whatever it is, you do it before you pass the money. Because once you pass the money, the deal's done. That's it. Then and forever, it's over. So don't come back and tell me there's a big rip in the back of the jacket, because yeah, there's a rip. Yeah, I would agree that it was there when you bought it, but you bought it. Caveat emptor, that's the Colombian rule. It's always been that way. So use your due diligence and don't rely on anybody for any integrity or honesty. That's on you to determine it. There's a lot of good with that. There's a lot of good with knowing that it's your responsibility. You certainly be more careful. In the U.S., you get used to shopping whatever they say, fine, because if they lied about it, you can just bring it back and dump it back in their lap. Well, that's not how it is here. So if it's a big chain, if it's PriceSmart, if it's Exito, things like that, probably not bad. They have return policies. I don't return. I've had no need to return anything since I've lived here. So I don't have firsthand knowledge. I do know they have return policies, and I've heard a few things. But I would go at everything with do your diligence and just be sure, have your own confidence. And if you can't be sure, maybe look for something somewhere else. Oh, I will say Mercado Libre, the Colombian version of Amazon, I guess, where you can buy from private people and from different businesses and stuff. That's my number one purchase place outside of for daily things. I've had two incidences there. One was a cell phone, goes back maybe 5 years. And I explained the situation. They instantly refunded the money for me. And then there was, God, I don't remember the second one. I know there was another one, but they did the same thing. I guess the cell phone, I was probably more worried about the cell phone because it was, for me, serious money. It was like 2 million pesos or something. It's like the end of it's like $500. But they took care of it just like that. And there was one other issue, something lesser, and I don't remember what it was, but it was in different circumstances. I gave them the information, and same day they had money credited back. You can either credit to your account, or if you use the credit card, they'll send it back to your credit card, which is what I did. I didn't want it on the account because who knows? And then you got, what's the exact amount? How am I going to use it? I don't know when I'm going to. So I had to go back to the credit card, but it was back in the credit card instead of having to wait weeks like I've had to do in the past. It was like 1 or 2 days and it showed up. So that's does that answer? I mean, was that thorough? I tried to be thorough. So in your head, think no returns, but in reality, if it's a chain or something like, probably is. Oh my God. That coffee is so freaking good. All right. Anything else? Go Bills. That's not today, but it's Sunday. They did clinch the playoffs. So that's something because they've had a rough season. They got no receivers. And they got a hit and miss. They got the weirdest defense I've ever seen. I mean, it's bizarre. It's like everybody can run up and down the field on them. But when it comes right down to it, when it's crunch time and they got to hold them off from going ahead on that, we're down to the last minute, the end of the game, somehow, some way, they'll pull off an interception or a sack or whatever it takes to get the ball out of their hands and put it back, back to their team. I don't know how they're doing that. It's uncanny, but I've never seen defense that was like that just totally suck until they really have to have it. And then all of a sudden they're going to look like world beaters. It's like they're out there playing the entire game like they're out of high school, but then at the end of the game, they're the champions of the world. It's bizarre. Why don't you do that all the time? Well, they can't. Why? How is it they pull the rabbit out of their hat at the last minute? It's not good for the ticker. All right. Did I scare everybody away? What's going on here? Are we done? Are we wrapping up? Somebody clue me in. What do you want me to do? All right. I know people don't like using the chat. I know it. I get it. I don't even need you to do it anymore like I did before. However, I would really appreciate it if you give me some feedback on stuff, more feedback. I get questions occasionally, but I don't get feedback on what I've done. For example, today's topic, was it pointless? Was there any value in it? Do you think I was right, wrong? I mean, what did you think? Just because I was all excited and put a lot of time and thought into it, and I'm all excited and I come here and I do it, doesn't mean it was any good for you. So, did you crack open a cigarette and, yeah, it was good for me, or what? I mean, I don't know. All right, I guess we're going to wrap it up. People keep joining, and I hate to slam the door on them now that they're showing up, but I don't know what you want outside of this coffee. Oh my God. Don't forget, you can buy this coffee. You can buy it in Columbia. You can buy it. All right. I guess we're going to end it here. Topic was awesome. Thank you, Owen. I know you'd say it, but I thought today's topic was on point. Seems like the latest generations don't care about facts. Yeah, that's what triggered me. I was working on my book, my personal book, for over 8 years, but I've been working on that. I've been chipping away at it between these actual published ones. And I got to the point where I was around high school. I mean, I've done really the latest chapters. What started was in Ecuador because I was writing a blog, and then Colombia, and it used to be on I think it still is on the website. For about 2 years, I would blog everything that was going along, even though I was doing videos. Well, that became almost enough for a book. But then I said, well, let me actually do that for personal reasons back home when I'm gone. There's a couple people that can look at it, and say, oh, that explains that. So what the hell? Call it legacy or something. I don't know. But it's a project, and I don't want to leave it incomplete. So I'm working on it, and I get to this high school thing, and I'm remembering I was remembering that some of my favorite things were the classes about how they would teach you to think. Recognized propaganda was part of it. Okay, it seemed obvious to me back then. I thought that was easy, but the how to think, how to use logic, reasoning, how to have conversations, and they were always friendly. We would take opposing sides, and we would have debates in the class, and we'd be laughing and be having fun, but we would have it pretty good. And some people would be very clever, and even though they didn't believe in the side that they were representing, they would actually convince people, and it was a very cool thing. And so I was having that memory, and then I started thinking about how people don't do that anymore. And then the more I thought about it, I realized the education system kind of weaned off. It wasn't abrupt. I said they replaced it with a memorization thing, and I saw that there were these stages to get to the point where it's just not in people anymore. Doesn't mean they couldn't relearn it, but when you're doing it young, it becomes ingrained. Like for me, the rest of my life, those were my thought patterns, and to this day. You have people that go through school now that don't even remotely have that kind of thought pattern. It's all emotional. It's how I feel about something. Facts don't matter. What is it? Facts don't care about your feelings or something like that. The reason that's a popular saying is because that's what it's become. It's become about feelings. Any opinion on the collapse of the MAGA movement? I don't think there is a collapse of the MAGA movement. I think I'm aware of what you're talking about. It's being played up, of course. The MAGA movement, I don't know that it was ever the MAGA movement. What you have is a general population that recognizes what they've been going through, similar to what I was talking about earlier today. They've awakened. They've recognized that. They latched on to Trump because he had a message that coincided with that. And so he called it Make America Great and da, 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 da. But these aren't people. There's this idea that it's blind loyalty to Trump. And I don't believe that. I've yet to meet somebody that has blind loyalty to Trump. You do meet people that have blind loyalty to certain policies because they thoroughly believe that those are correct, and they keep getting proven out. So you can almost set him aside. It's really about the policies. I appreciate him. I used to despise him. I'm from New York. I'm from upstate New York, but it was always not front of screen, but it was always a side thing about Trump. Oh, what's he up to now? What divorce is he getting through? What casino is he going bankrupt in? And I always had an issue with him because of his TV show, because I was in business, and he always portrayed business as something that it's not. But it was great for TV. And so I get it for TV. It was a very smart move. He was on for over a decade, made a ton of money, very popular. It was #1 rated show for a bunch of years. So I get all that. On the other hand, it didn't really represent business. Businesses don't operate the way he portrayed it. And so I hated that. And so I didn't have much respect for the guy. And then he comes down the escalator, and I'm thinking, yeah, great. But then he started talking about certain things and said, well, yeah, well, that makes sense. Well, yeah, I get that. I don't have to like the guy, but I like that there's something going. The United States for years, regardless of what party, keeps doing the same things that keeps running the American person in the ground. whether you like Trump or hate Trump, set that aside. You can't argue the fact that jobs weren't sent overseas. It's a fact. And you can blame Democrats, you can blame Republicans. Personally, I blame them both because they all have their own vested interest in what's going on. People do in general. They happen to get rich off of whatever those interests are. So along comes somebody that says, we're not going to do that anymore. As a matter of fact, we're going to figure out a way to bring those back. Because how ridiculous is it that if we need something, if there was ever an emergency, we don't know how to produce anything anymore? Where we used to produce everything, but we don't produce 90% of what we need to survive as a country. And so somebody comes along and they talk about policies to do that. And a whole list of things. See, for me, it doesn't have to be about Trump. I could care less. It could be J.D. Vance. It could be Kamala Harris. Whoever has the ideas that actually work, I'm all for it. I don't care what label you put on it. But it's become, because it's ingrained in people. You got to hate Trump. And I really recognized what was going on after he came down the escalator, because when he came down, he gave that little speech. It was very awkward. It's probably one of the worst he ever gave. And he also has this thing where he thinks faster than his tongue works. I do the same thing sometimes. People tend to do that. So he comes down the escalator and he's talking about people coming across the border. And he was talking about there's criminals, there's rapists, da-da-da-da-da. And there's good people too, all right? You've seen that pattern. He said it forever. So he says that. So I listen to it. I get what he's talking about. He's saying that people are blindly coming across the border and we don't know who they are. This was back 2016, 15. If we don't know who they are and they're just coming across the border, you know you're going to get a certain percentage of people because we're seeing it show up in the news, in the crime reports. This woman's raped, this murder, da-da-da-da-da. We're seeing that. And if they weren't here, it wouldn't be happening. So, okay, that's a real issue. Open borders, not a good thing. Barack Obama used to rail against open borders. Bill Clinton used to hate open borders. I mean, they've had dedicated speeches. So it was a common belief. But then Trump says it, and all of a sudden, oh no, we like open borders. It's what? What the hell changed? But here's what got to me. So I hear that. I heard the speech. I'm sitting in Ecuador. I listened to that speech, and I go, yeah, okay, well, it was awkward, but yeah, I agree with most of what he just said. 3 days later, I'm getting news reports on my YouTube about how he said all Mexicans coming across the border are murderers and rapists. What the hell? I had to go back and watch again. Did I miss something? I go back and I watch again. He didn't say that. And then it repeated itself, the Charlotte thing. You know, it's like the Nazis, they're all, fine people. It's not what he said. So he says something, there was nothing wrong with it. But then the news afterwards says that, basically he's in support of Nazis, skinheads, or whatever. But then they repeat it like 12 million times. So then you've got a portion of the population that says, oh, he's a racist because he loves skinheads. Well, where did you get that from? It was a made up thing. It wasn't true. It wasn't real. You don't have to like the guy, but there's enough real stuff you could talk about without conjuring up all this stuff. Well, they've been doing this for years now. So you got a decade worth of fermented hate that 99% of it was based on a lie. Well, I prefer to live in the real world. So you used to be able to do that. You used to be able to. But now somehow you got to pick sides. I probably got people now that you heard what I just said, somehow will find a problem with it. Well, it's my opinion. It's my experience. I'm not doing anything that's bizarre. I'm not deluded. I'm certainly far from deluded. Those are real things. but you'll have people that are programmed. So the minute you say that word Trump, then you automatically have to jump to your position. Trump finally released the heavily redacted Democrat hoax that didn't exist. The the Georgia voting, 315,000 non-certified votes that were counted as certified. All absentee ballots, all brand new ballots without a wrinkle. In other words, they were just marked and run through the machine. Well, Rudy Giuliani, back when that happened, talked about that. He not only got raked over the coals for it, but he ended up out of pocket like $1.5 million through court costs and things like that. And now they have the proof and the evidence. Now, as a matter of fact, you have Democrats in Fulton County, the Democrats there who are part of that now admit it, publicly admit it. Well, it was an error. We've made steps so that won't happen again. Well, but yeah, it's stuff like that. Does that mean I'm defending Trump? Because when you're talking to people that live in that polarized world, that's all they see. And you just said something, well, I don't care if it's fact, I still want to hate. It's like, well, that's crazy, because it's reality. It's a reality. Go listen to the people who did it, who admit to it publicly. It's like people have been trained to think inside the box. What a great way to put it. Yeah. Because you hear outside the box way too much. Once you step outside, life will be so much more enjoyable. Yeah, I kind of always have lived that way, honestly, because I've always been so introverted that external pressures, I've just always been able. It's part of why I tell everybody I'm antisocial and I'm kind of a hermit. Yeah, I live in my own world. And former MAGA supporters like MTG Nick Fuentes have been highly critical of Trump. Didn't have that on my bingo card. Yeah. I don't, honestly, I don't care about it. People have motivations. I don't think for a minute that Trump is some perfect thing. I view him as a presidency of policies. I appreciate him where I never did before, simply because he gets those things done that are effective. As a matter of fact, the economic news that has come out just this week, and I don't mean from him, but from organizations that have never shown him any love, but there's no denying the trend that the United States is on is unbelievable. In so many ways, new builds, energy production, but not just energy production, but there's a new nuclear reactor that actually operates off of nuclear waste. This is a new thing. There's one that's up and functioning right now, but they're going to be selling these all over the country. There's no risk of these things becoming 3 Mile Islands or anything like that. They don't operate the way a nuclear power plant operates. So all this nuclear waste, which was always, oh my God, it's going to last 1 million years. What are we going to do with it? It runs on that. And the end product is something that does not have radioisotopes that last for years. It just becomes an inert object. It runs at, it's a crazy high temperature, and it basically burns it up to the point where it's no longer dangerous. Well, what the hell? This is like free fuel. It's not just a free fuel, but it's been a problem forever about what do you do? Yeah, okay, the power plant's great. And if it doesn't blow up, then what do you do with the waste? Well, there's lots of that waste around. That's what you do with it. That power plant that is operating right now, it's actually underground. You only see the building up on the top. And it's providing the electricity for, I think it was 25,000 homes. That's not massive, but it's because it was the first actual one running. So they went from all their experimentation to, all right, this works. We've worked out all the safety, all the issues, how it's going to operate. So then they created an actual commercially viable one. That's where they're at now. And they're running it. It's like it's been running long enough that okay, this is cool. Well, now they can actually scale it. So you can have one of these for every city, for example. And you have to go get uranium? No, you can get nuclear waste. We've got enough nuclear waste packed away in caves, to last for a good period of time. So you got all this AI that needs energy. You can have one of these at every AI facility. They don't draw from the grid. Our grid's a disaster anyway. So there you go. Perfectly safe, practically free. It's only the infrastructure that's going to cost. It's pretty awesome. I mean, the future's pretty damn bright in one sense. So yeah, I'm not going to get caught up in this love-hate Trump thing. What are they going to do? These people that live their lives on this, in 3 years it's over. What are you going to do then? Well, by then they'll carry it on. They'll transfer it to someone else. So if J.D. Vance is next one in line, somehow, some way, he's going to be the next one. And my whole life, even though I see Republicans, Democrats, two sides of the same coin, but it's always been Reagan was this greedy, terrible, evil, all this, and then the Bushes were, and then it's always whoever runs the Republicans. But I swear it's a game they work out together, because you'll see like Bush and Obama and Clinton, they're all buddies anyway, so they go out and put on their performances and Epstein files. Yeah, who cares? I was interested at first. I am no longer interested. It was 2020, I think. So it was during COVID. I started digging into it, kind of curious. I found out that he was actually prosecuted once already, and the person who basically blew him in and testified against him in the grand jury was actually Trump. Imagine that. Because it goes back to like the 90s, I think it was. I don't have it in front of me now, but he was caught basically being a pedophile. Trump threw him out of his club, blew him into the FBI. Not solely, they had other things, but he blew him into the FBI. He testified against him in the grand jury. So Epstein hated Trump, hated him. So the idea that, some years later, they're buddy is ridiculous. And the only photos they come up with related were back in the time when Epstein was just one of those guys that runs around all the social parties and gets in the pictures of everybody. He was a big money guy. And, so he was there. He was in a lot of pictures of people. And that's one of the issues they're talking about. It's like, how do you sort out all these pictures? He made a point to get a picture with anybody that was important or would be important. So he's got pictures of that because that's what people like what he was doing do. And so how do you sort that out with the pictures of people who are actually doing something? Well, Clinton looks like he's in a bit of trouble because they got pictures of him actually with underage girls and things. And it's like, yeah, that's not great. But with Trump, they don't have any pictures of him after his first conviction because he threw him out of the club, didn't want anything to do with him. And it wasn't all like a moral stance that he took, although that may have been in there. But his biggest issue was at Mar-a-Lago, Trump prides himself on having beautiful women around. And so he would hire to work in the hotel beautiful women for the international crowd. It's good for business. Jeffrey Epstein was poaching them. So Trump would lose some employees for whatever Epstein was dealing with. He would lure them away. And that was the prime motivator for Trump being thoroughly pissed at this guy and basically ruining him so he couldn't do this again. So you got a lot of baggage going back there. So to think that, we get into the 2000s and everything's all forgiven and, Trump and Epstein are buddies, it's ridiculous. It's actually, if you look at the history of that, it's absolutely ridiculous. So, yeah. So that's what I think about that. Am I protecting Trump? No, it's just look yourself. It's absurd. I think that's why he never cared if the files went out. I think he was probably sick of it because people were trying to use it against him. So of course you'd want it to go away. I don't think he handled it well at all. I think he was kind of stupid how he handled it, just like Reiner, who just died. What a stupid thing that comes out. All you're doing is giving your enemies ammunition to say, see, this is how you are. Well, that's how he was in that post. You can't argue that. It was pretty scummy. And the counter argument is, well, but the same people that are complaining about are the ones that were celebrating Charlie Kirk was dead. Well, that's true, but two wrongs don't make a right. I mean, children learn that. If they're down in the gutter, it doesn't mean you got to go down there with them. So, yeah, it's not going to help your cause, dude. On the other hand, for me, it doesn't change any of those policies. So people, MTG, Nick Fuente, whatever, they're just people out talking with their opinion. Who cares? You might agree, you might not agree. Doesn't matter. Policies. Or you move to Colombia and you chill. Okay. Got no more comments. You got me to bite. Owen, I owe you something, buddy. And people started clicking away, so I think I went on a bit too long. I will see you later. I hope you have a great Christmas. Certainly it's a wonderful day. I will see you Sunday at next Coffee Time Live. Ciao.
Bye.